He was the boy I nurtured with every ounce of my being. In the gentle unfolding of time, I guided him through the steps of walking, the magic of reading, and the beauty of loving without trepidation. Yet, on a tranquil night, when the clamor of existence had faded into silence, I found myself learning a lesson from him, something I had never anticipated, a revelation I never realized I was missing. His words and actions transformed me in a way that will forever remain etched in my memory. Share with us in the comments, from which city are you tuning into our tale? It brings me joy to witness the vastness of our narratives and the distances they travel. Allow me to transport you to that fateful evening, the one that changed the course of everything. As the years unfold, one begins to feel as though they have witnessed every tale the world has to offer. At the age of 63, I have embraced every role a woman can embody: a daughter, a wife, a nurse, a mother, a widow. As the sun rose and set, my days melded into a seamless tapestry, filled with tranquil mornings, meandering strolls, and solitary dinners that stretched into the night. I believed I had come to terms with it, or so I thought. Tom had always been a good boy, wise, compassionate, and possessing a depth that caused others to pause and take a second glance. At the tender age of 8, when he faced the heart-wrenching loss of his father, he grasped onto me as if I were his only hope, and I held on tight, never letting him slip away. I poured into him all my warmth, every tender word, every embrace under the stars that lingered long into the night. For what felt like an eternity, it was just the two of us. But when he turned 18 and set off for college, the silence that followed was overwhelming, echoing in the spaces he once filled. Yet that summer, he returned home. He stood taller, his shoulders broader, yet there remained that familiar softness in his eyes whenever they met mine. At first, it seemed like just another ordinary moment, my little one nestled back in the warmth of our home. I prepared his beloved dishes, meticulously folding his laundry with the same gentle touch that had always been my way. At times, he would settle across from me, his gaze fixed, as if he were delving into the depths of my being, capturing every detail to etch into his memory. On a particular night, following the evening meal, the atmosphere seemed to carry an unusual weight. A storm had swept in, with distant thunder rumbling like an ominous warning or a whispered promise. I found it difficult to discern which one it was. I placed candles around the living room, casting a gentle glow that blurred the sharp lines of the shadows. As Tom stepped inside, the gentle droplets of rain still clung to his hair, and a subtle smile played upon his lips, hinting at a story yet to unfold. "Why do you always refuse to let anyone look after you, Mom?" He inquired as if it were an everyday matter, as casually as if he were checking if I required assistance with the dishes. I let out a soft laugh, attempting to brush it aside. "Oh, my dear, that's not quite the way it unfolds. Mothers are the ones who nurture and support everyone around them. It's all laid out in the job description." His lips remained unmoved, a stillness in his expression. He gazed deeply into my eyes, truly seeing me, before settling down next to me on the couch. The candlelight danced across his features, illuminating the essence of the man he was evolving into, or perhaps the man he had always been. "In your journey, you've poured your heart and soul into the lives of others. One never ceases to forge ahead. Have you ever paused to consider what it is that you truly desire?" That brought me to a halt. As a wave of emotion washed over me, I felt my throat constrict, prompting me to avert my gaze. It's been ages since anyone posed that question to me. In every tale, there's often a figure who binds the threads of chaos, even when their own world seems to unravel. I replied a bit too hastily, "I'm fine." Indeed. Tom leaned in, his voice a gentle whisper, steady and soothing. "In this moment, it's okay to let go of the weight of strength." A subtle change whispered through the air once more. The stillness enveloped us, a tender and cozy pause that lingered in the air. A sensation began to awaken within me, a feeling long dormant, untouched for years, neither desire nor yearning. But it ran much deeper than that. It was a moment of seeing myself, mirrored in the kindness of another. As he extended his hand towards me, I willingly placed mine in his grasp. His fingers radiated warmth, a steady presence. As I gazed at our intertwined hands, his thumb softly caressing my knuckles, an overwhelming wave of emotion washed over me. In that quiet moment, there was a warmth, a genuine understanding in his gaze that pierced through the noise of the world. In a hushed tone, I confessed, "I don't know how." His expression was one of bewilderment. What is the way to do that? What are the ways to invite someone to embrace me, to truly release? His expression softened, and then he said, "Allow me to show you." Tears threatened to spill from the corners of my eyes, yet I managed to blink them back. My body instinctively leaned into his, as if guided by a familiar rhythm from a time long past. Yet this time, it lacked that nurturing essence. It was truly remarkable. It was a mystery to me, a name just out of reach. All I sensed was that it felt right in its own way. With a gentle embrace, he pulled me close, and I found solace resting my head against him. As my cheek grazed the gentle fabric of his shirt, I could feel the steady rhythm of his heart beneath my ear. It dawned on me just how deeply I longed for that sound, the intimacy of it all. Time slipped away, moments blending into one another, perhaps stretching into hours. The tempest that once raged outside had transformed into a gentle, unwavering rain. In that stillness, I released my grip. Gradually, subtly, yet undeniably, just enough to take a breath. He fell silent, leaving the air thick with unspoken words. He embraced me, and I surrendered to the moment. On that particular night, in the warmth of the living room, my son brought to light the truth that I was so much more than the roles I had played throughout my life. I remained a woman, still able to be embraced, still deserving of a gaze. In that moment, softly illuminated by flickering candlelight and accompanied by the gentle patter of rain, a profound understanding began to unfold. The morning that followed was enveloped in an unusual calm. The rain had departed, yet its fragrance still danced in the atmosphere. That damp, earthy scent that lingers on the windowsill, inviting you to envelop yourself in something warm and comforting. As I stirred from my slumber, a gentle haze enveloped me, and I found myself pondering the peculiar lightness in my chest. It was as if a burden I had borne for countless years had silently vanished into the shadows of the night. Perched on the edge of my bed, the sheets a little askew, I endeavored to weave together the vivid tapestry of the night that had just passed. It's not merely the events that unfolded, but the emotions that swirled within me. As I held Tom's hand, I could feel the warmth radiating from his skin, the gentle rhythm of his breath filling the stillness around us, an invisible thread of connection weaving an unspoken bond between our souls. Shame was a stranger to me. What unfolded next was truly the most astonishing twist of all. As I stepped into the kitchen, my bare feet met the cool floor, and I wrapped my robe snugly around me. The morning light unfurled gracefully over the tile floor, revealing him there, already awake, already crafting the rich aroma of coffee. He donned a white t-shirt, comfortably loose at the shoulders, his hair tousled and still bearing the remnants of sleep. Yet, as he glanced my way, his gaze was sharp, focused. As the sun began to rise, he greeted the day with a gentle smile. As the morning light broke, I found my way back, my voice carrying a hint of weariness. It was hard to discern whether it stemmed from slumber or something more elusive. He offered me a cup in silence, reminiscent of his childhood days, when he would bring me coffee after his attempts at breakfast. Yet this was unlike anything else. It lacked any trace of youthful enthusiasm, presenting instead a serene composure. We gathered at the kitchen table, our eyes locked in a familiar dance, just as we had done countless times in the mornings that came before. Yet the air had transformed, now warmer and thicker, brimming with unspoken thoughts that lingered between us. "Did you sleep okay?" he inquired after a brief pause. I nodded, feeling more at ease than I have in quite some time. He reclined a bit, his gaze fixed on me from above the edge of his mug. "My words from last night hold true." I took a deep breath. "I understand. Allow me to share a bit more, if you would be so kind." My heart leaped with surprise. His words were shrouded in mystery, leaving me with a sense of uncertainty. Yet, I nodded all the same, for there was a part of me that craved the words, even if they sent a shiver down my spine. He leaned in closer, resting both elbows on the table, his fingers elegantly intertwined beneath his chin. "Your entire existence has been devoted to the art of giving. I witnessed you give of yourself to others, even when you were running on empty. Yet the art of receiving was never imparted to you, to embrace joy without remorse. The familiar lump in my throat made its unwelcome return. I gazed at the table, fighting to keep at bay the swell of emotions that sought to break free. "I'm not trying to weave a web of confusion," he added gently. "I've noticed the solitude that surrounds you. You attempt to conceal it, yet I perceive it within the depths of your gaze, in the manner you pause your breath when you believe no one is watching." A soft, trembling laugh escaped my lips. "Your keen insight has always been a double-edged sword." With a gentle motion, he extended his hand across the table, capturing mine once more. It had a certain weight to it, a feeling that anchored you in the moment. Calming. "Let me share with you the warmth of being cherished and embraced, not merely by anyone, but by a soul who perceives the entirety of your being. The mother hidden within the woman, the heart you've tucked away beneath layers of duty and obligation." As our gazes locked, clarity shone brightly within his eyes, free from any hint of confusion. No whimsical tales, just pure insight. "But you are my son," I uttered, the words escaping my lips before I could rein them in. "I know," he replied, his voice steady and unwavering. "Yet here I stand, a man shaped by time, and my heart holds a deep care for you. Not only for the love and care you gave me, but also for your beauty and strength. You deserve to be seen as someone who truly matters." Quietude, dense and vibrating in the space that separates us. With a hesitant rise, I found myself caught in a moment of uncertainty until the decision was made and I took the plunge. As I strolled around the table, his gaze met mine, a moment suspended in time, not with expectation, but with an open invitation. My hand gently traced its way to his shoulder, and then, after a brief pause, it caressed the side of his face. His cheek radiated warmth under my palm. "I find myself at a loss with this," I murmured softly. "You don't have to know," he said, rising to his feet, his voice a hushed whisper. "Simply embrace the experience. Simply exist in this moment." I ought to have taken a step back. I was aware of that. In a world that urged me to flee, to hide the moment away, to act as if it had never graced my life. Yet the world had turned its back on me during those solitary times. No one else could perceive the empty spaces within me quite like he could. In that fleeting instant, my deepest desire was simply to be noticed. To be caressed not as a mother, but as a woman who had longed for this moment, even if she had not realized it until now. With a tender touch, he tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. It was a gentle caress, filled with respect. "I won't do anything you don't want," he said, his voice steady and unwavering. "Yet, if you wish for me to cease the charade of overlooking you in this manner, I shall oblige." My breath caught in my throat. I chose silence instead of words. I lingered nearby, allowing my forehead to gently touch his, embracing the soothing warmth of his presence as it quieted the frantic beating of my heart. In that hushed moment, with breath mingling and hands intertwined, I gently nudged the door within me to open just a fraction more. It was not the whole tale, not just yet. Yet it was sufficient to understand that whatever this was evolving into, it was indeed something genuine. In the days that came after, an unusual deep silence enveloped everything. All remained as it was, untouched by the passage of time. We continued to navigate the house as we always had, each step echoing the familiar rhythm of our lives. In the quiet of the evening, I found myself in the kitchen, preparing dinner with care. Afterward, I folded the laundry, each piece a reminder of the day. As the sun began to set, I settled onto the porch, a warm cup of tea in hand, savoring the moment. Tom continued to lend a hand with the dishes, tended to the lawn, and spun those cherished old jazz records that always brought a smile to my face. Yet in the space that separated us, an electric tension lingered, unspoken, yet palpable in the atmosphere, like the charged energy that precedes a tempest. I found myself observing him when he was unaware. Oh, how the curve of his jaw had taken on a new sharpness, how his hands had transformed into those of a man, strong and capable. bold, assured, and fearless. And then I would glance aside, my cheeks flushed with a sensation I hadn't experienced in ages. The thrill of what is to come hangs in the air, a palpable tension that stirs the imagination. A rush of excitement I never thought I could experience again. One afternoon, I found myself in the garden, kneeling beside the hydrangeas, carefully tending to the weeds that encircled their base. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden glow that wrapped the world in a gentle, ethereal embrace. Without a whisper, Tom drew near, his shadow casting a veil over me before I even sensed his presence. "I need help," he said, and I lifted my gaze. He stood there, bare-chested, the sun casting shadows across his skin. There he stood, clad in a pair of well-loved jeans, his skin kissed by the sun, glistening with the sheen of sweat. He had been mending the shed door just moments ago, and now, as he stood above me, there was an undeniable confidence radiating from him, so vivid. "I believe I've figured it out," I declared, brushing the dirt from my hands, attempting to concentrate on anything other than the proximity of his presence. Yet he lowered himself beside me all the same. Not to lend a hand, but simply to be close. With a deft hand, he grasped a weed I had overlooked, yanking it free and casting it aside with a casual flick. As our shoulders gently met, a gasp escaped my lips. "You've always put in so much effort," he remarked, his gaze averted from mine. "Even now it seems you haven't quite grasped the art of resting." "It's not that," I murmured, my voice barely above a whisper. "Ah, you see, when solitude wraps around you like a familiar blanket, you discover all sorts of ways to fill the hours. It softens the weight of the silence." He gazed at me then, truly gazed, and I sensed a stirring deep within me under the weight of his stare. "I want you to know that you're not alone anymore," he said. His words wrapped around me like a soft embrace, tender yet radiating a warmth that thawed the ice within my heart. As I rose to my feet, I gently brushed the dust from my knees. "Come on," I urged, the words slipping out before I could catch them. A refreshing drink would really hit the spot right now. As we stepped inside, the kitchen embraced us with the earthy aroma of soil, mingling with the warmth of sweat and the essence of summer. With a gentle tremor in my hands, I poured the lemonade, and we settled at the kitchen table, ready for the unfolding moments ahead. Once more, just as it has happened countless times in the past. Yet in this moment, I sensed the presence of an unseen barrier between us, cutting and shimmering with intensity. He extended his hand towards mine. It had become a familiar dance, him taking it, and me allowing it to unfold. Yet today, I chose not to simply allow him. I grasped his hand in return. The silence lingered, a blend of comfort and an undercurrent of tension. "What are we embarking on, Tom?" With a hesitant breath, I finally posed the question, my heart racing at the thought of the answer, yet even more terrified of the silence that would follow if I never dared to ask. He stood resolute. "It's a sentiment we both share," he remarked. "A bond that has been quietly blossoming between us over the years. You are my child." I softly uttered the words, as if seeking confirmation rather than declaring a truth. He spoke with a gentle yet resolute tone. "I know. Yet, I am so much more than just that. I am a witness to your essence, every facet of your being. And perhaps, at last, you are beginning to truly see me as well." I remained silent, unable to find my voice. My chest felt constricted, a whirlwind of fear and confusion swirling within me, accompanied by a deep yearning for a touch that transcended obligation and the mundane rhythm of life. To be grasped without cause, solely because someone desired it. He rose to his feet, gracefully maneuvered around the table, and leaned in close beside me. One hand lingered softly on the back of my chair, while the other glided across my shoulder. Neither hurried nor sought after, yet brimming with a serene assurance. "Tell me to stop," he whispered, his face just inches from mine. Yet I chose not to. For the simple reason that I wished him not to. Instead, I leaned in, narrowing the space that separated us. Our lips met, gentle at first, cautious, exploring. A kiss that boldly steps forward, yet patiently lingers for a hint of consent. and so I offered it forth. The moment thickened with anticipation. His hand gracefully found its way behind my neck. Fingers wove through my hair. The warmth enveloped me, a sensation I hadn't experienced in many years, transcending the mere physical to stir something deep within my heart. A blaze sparked in the realm where trepidation intertwined with yielding. As we separated, silence enveloped us. We simply inhaled one another, foreheads touching, eyes shut, allowing the gravity of the moment to envelop us like a comforting shroud. "I don't know what this means," I said, my voice quivering with uncertainty. "There's no need to," he responded. "What truly counts is the essence of the experience." I gave a slow, deliberate nod, for it certainly carried a weight, a presence that could not be ignored, something genuine, something impactful, a desire I had never summoned the courage to embrace. As the moon cast its gentle glow, the house settled into a serene hush once more. Yet it was a different kind of stillness. This moment brimmed with recollections, opportunities, and transformation. As I settled into bed, I chose to leave my door ajar. The night was wrapped in a thick blanket of silence. Not the kind that sneaks in with fear, but the kind that lingers patiently. Every corner of the house held its breath, as if the very walls were straining to catch a whisper. As I reclined in bed, the soft covers gently enveloping me, I could feel the rhythmic thump of my heart echoing in my chest. The door stood ajar, inviting curiosity and wonder. In the quiet of my room, shadows danced gently, illuminated by the warm amber glow spilling in from the hallway. And I found myself awake, not from restlessness, but from a deep sense of anticipation. I had promised myself to keep my expectations in check. Leaving the door ajar held no deeper significance than what it appeared to be. Yet, within the depths of my being, I was aware. A sense of foreboding washed over me, as if I was beckoning an unseen presence into my world. Or perhaps simply granting permission to something that had been gently tapping at the door of my awareness for longer than I was willing to confess. The floorboards whispered softly beneath the weight of time, a sound that feels like home. Measured strides echo through the silence. My breath was momentarily stolen away. And there stood Tom, framed in the doorway. Silence enveloped him. He gazed at me, his eyes lingering for what felt like an eternity. Not as a young one asking for approval, and not as a soul filled with doubt. His expression held a serene composure, a deep recognition that this moment was neither impulsive nor temporary. What unfolded was the culmination of countless gentle moments layered one upon the other. Through the passage of time, bonds were forged, lessons were shared, and trust blossomed. As he crossed the threshold, a world of possibilities awaited him. I adjusted my position, propping myself up a bit, the robe draped casually around me, the fabric gently sliding off my shoulder. He observed keenly. His eyes held a gaze that was not driven by desire, but rather by a deep sense of respect. As if he were witnessing something divine. "Do you truly believe that?" he inquired, his tone soft yet unwavering. I gave a knowing nod. He approached the edge of the bed and settled beside me, his hand seeking mine, fingers weaving together effortlessly, as if they had always been meant to intertwine. I pivoted to meet his gaze completely, our knees grazing against each other, the air around us electric yet tender. "I don't want this to be a decision you wake up and regret," he said. "I shall not," I murmured softly. And I truly meant it. This was not merely a matter of crossing boundaries or defying regulations. It was a moment of discovery, revealing a door I had never realized was there within me. A door that opened to a part of me I had hidden away long ago. Once there was a woman yearning deeply to be noticed, to feel the warmth of a gentle touch, to be cherished not for her offerings, but for the essence of her being. He leaned in gradually, allowing me every moment to pull away if I wished. I did not. Our lips met once more, this time with a depth that lingered, a slowness that savored, and a certainty that enveloped us. His hand found its way to the small of my back, drawing me closer, and I surrendered to the moment, allowing myself to melt into him. All my worries, all my fears, and every voice that ever dictated my emotions faded into the background. What unfolded was measured, calm, and deliberate. In that stillness, a gentle warmth enveloped the moment. A tender exchange blossomed in soft whispers and fleeting glances as two souls navigated the delicate dance of discovery, each movement steeped in reverence and care. That night, our words were few and far between. There was no need for that. As the moments faded away, he lingered by my side, his breath creating a soothing cadence that gently ushered me into the most peaceful slumber I had experienced in ages. With his arm gently resting across my waist, my fingers brushed against his skin, still warm from our shared moments. As dawn broke, I found myself awake before him, the sun gently spilling its golden light over the sheets. I glanced over at him, his lashes gently touching his cheek, a subtle smile playing on his lips, and in that moment, I experienced a sensation I hadn't encountered in ages. Harmony. Not because everything was clear, but because, for once, I found peace within myself. I had ceased to follow the script of emotions I believed I should experience, and began to pay attention to the true feelings that stirred within me. He stirred ever so slightly, his eyes fluttering open, like the delicate wings of a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. As our eyes met, a warm smile spread across his face, delicate, heartfelt, tender. "Greetings," he softly intoned. "Greetings." We lingered in that moment, still and unhurried, savoring the gentle embrace of the morning light. In that moment, I felt an absence of guilt in my chest, a void where shame might have lingered behind my ribs. Just the gentle embrace of warmth, just the comforting essence of presence. At last, I got up and slipped into a robe, making my way to the porch as the sun began its ascent in the sky. A fresh canvas unfolded before me. It wasn't the world around me that transformed, it was me who had evolved. Moments later, Tom appeared, cradling 2 steaming mugs of coffee in his hands. He offered me one, and we settled into a quiet moment, observing the gentle dance of the breeze as it caressed the leaves in the trees. In the silence between us, the essence of our journey unfolded, unspoken yet profoundly understood. In that moment, we stood together, our hearts laid bare, barriers stripped away. For the first time in years, I found myself free from the need to wear a mask or play a role. He might have been the young lad I nurtured. Yet that night, and in every fleeting moment that followed, he guided me back to the woman I had lost sight of. The individual who rediscovered the sensation of feeling, the one destined to find love once more, and the one who at long last embraced her own worth.